Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. My name is Amara and this channel is all about helping you find the courage to go after your passion and ultimately create a life, business, or a side hustle that you absolutely love. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to start a blog. And this video is part of a blogging series that I'm currently doing, and I'll post the link to all the other videos in the description box below. So you can watch my video from last week where I talked about my blogging journey and also gave you guys 5 mistakes that I made when I first started blogging. But in today's video, I am giving you a step-by-step guide on how to start a blog. And not just any blog, a successful blog. So if you watch my previous video, you'll know that I've been blogging for years now. And it's only in the past few months that I've actually been able to generate income from my blog. So I'm sharing this video so that you can start your blog on the right foot, because these are things that I definitely didn't know when I first started blogging, and they're things that I kind of wish I had known. And so before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe and hit the notification bell because I post new videos every week, alright? So let's get into it. And so these are the things that you should do before you start a blog. And I would recommend that you do these things in this particular order. And I'll explain why as we go along. But the first thing that you need to do when you're starting a blog is to determine your why. And so your why is really the reason why you are starting the blog. You don't just want to be posting content for the sake of posting content. There needs to be a reason why you are posting. And so it's important to understand why you want to start a blog. And so your why would be, why is it important for you to start a blog? And so these are questions that you really need to ask yourself before you even get started with any of the other steps that I'm going to be mentioning. And so the next thing to do would be to determine what you're going to talk about on your blog. Now, you don't need to get super specific at this stage, but I would recommend that you brainstorm some ideas of things that you can talk about. You know, are there certain topics that you like talking about? Are there other blogs that you enjoy reading? You know, just brainstorm some ideas so that when you are going to start your blog, you know exactly what you are going to talk about. Now, I would also recommend at this stage to start thinking about your niche. You certainly don't have to have a very specific and well-defined niche at this point, but I think it's a good idea to start brainstorming some niche ideas. You know, you want to make your niche a combination of topics that you are interested in, that you are knowledgeable about, and things also that people are interested in learning about. Step 3 would be to do your research. Go on Google, go online and look for information and see who are the other key players talking about the things that you are interested in talking about. You know, what are people saying about them? Are there any books on this topic? Is there anything that you can learn to make you a little bit better when it comes to creating your content and creating your blog? Is there a course that you can take? And so once you know what it is you're going to talk about, you also need to start thinking about who you are going to be talking to. And so one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they are starting out blogging is they think that their blog is for everybody. But let me tell you, when you try talking to everybody, you end up talking to no one. And this was definitely a mistake that I made in my first blog because I was not specific about who I was going to be speaking to. I really was trying to reach everybody with my content. The truth is, when you are trying to talk to everybody, you end up talking to nobody. So try to spend some time thinking about who it is you would like to talk to. As well as doing that type of research, I would also recommend to do some market research as well. Spend some time talking to real people. And so one thing that I did before I started my current blog, I sent out surveys to people. I went on some Facebook groups. Really what I was trying to understand was what people's pain points were when it comes to content creation so that I can help to provide content that helps to alleviate those pain points. And so I would recommend spending some time talking to real people and trying to understand how best you can position your content so that you can actually help people. And so when you go on my blog right now, all of the posts that I have really come from conversations that I've had with people. People asking me, how do you start a blog? You know, there's just so much to do and there's so much information online, it's overwhelming. I've thought about that and I've made this video hopefully simplifying the process so that you can go out and feel confident to actually start that blog. Now, the next step, once you know these things, is to decide if and how you are going to monetize. Now, not everyone wants to monetize their blog, and that's completely fine. But you need to make a decision about whether or not you are going to monetize your blog, because all of the other steps depend on this. If you are not going to monetize your blog right now and you are confident that you are never going to monetize your blog, that's completely fine as well. The rest of these steps are kind of geared more towards people who are interested in monetizing their blog. You don't need to have all the answers right away, but I would recommend coming up with at least one way that you plan on monetizing your blog, because it makes the following steps a little bit easier. So now you know why you're blogging, what you're going to talk about, who you're going to talk to, and how you're going to monetize your blog. So now it's time to create the blog. All of these things come first because these things are actually more important than the actual design. They're more important than the platform that you choose, because all of these things will dictate the remaining decisions that you make for your blog. So it's important to get clear on these first few steps that I've mentioned. The next thing that you're going to choose is your domain name. Now, your domain name is basically just the name of your blog. So it's a www.domainname.com. So when you pick your domain name, you want to make sure to pick a name that is memorable and easy to spell. You want to pick a name that people will be able to find. If you have some sort of complicated spelling in your name, chances are, even if people remember it and they're like, oh, that was a smart name, I remember that name, but they can't remember the spelling, they're not going to be able to come back to your blog. So try to make it as easy as possible on people. Also, you want to pick a name that is reflective of what your blog is going to be about. So if you have a blog that is about cooking, it makes sense to have a play on words, relating to cooking, because it helps people to just know what to expect once they land on your page. Now, the other option that you can do with your blog, and it's what I've done, is to actually name your blog after yourself. And you may want to do this if you think that you have aspirations to pivot or to change, what you talk about in the future. Now, the next step, once you have your domain name, you want to choose your blogging platform. Now, there's so many different blogging platforms out there. There's Wix, there's WordPress.org, WordPress.com, Squarespace, Weebly, Blogspot. There's just so many platforms out there. But for simplicity's sake, the platform that I would recommend for your blog would be WordPress.org or Squarespace. I think that these platforms are just way more robust and they allow you to do more. You can add plugins and functionality to your blog, and you can also customize it exactly the way that you want. Now, my blog is built on WordPress, and WordPress is the platform that people say you should use if you're more techie, if you're more tech savvy, but I can assure you that I'm not that tech savvy. But I was able to figure out WordPress. And so I think that if you really want to take your blogging seriously, you would pick WordPress or Squarespace for your blog. And so once you know what platform you're going to be on, you're going to want to get hosting. And so hosting is kind of the home that your blog is in. So you can have two types of hosting. You can have a self-hosted or a hosted site. And so with hosted platforms, you don't own the house where your blog lives. If your blog is built on WordPress.com or Blogspot, WordPress owns the house, but your blog just lives there. So what you want to do if you want to make money blogging, if you want to monetize your blog, is to actually make your website self-hosted, which means that you own the home that your blog lives on. Now, with self-hosted, you do have to pay a little bit more money to own that home, but it is so worth it if you are going to monetize your blog, because when you own the home, you own the content, you own everything that's in it. But if it's hosted on another platform, if that platform closes or shuts down, your content is gone, right? You don't own it. And so if you are looking to make money blogging, I would hands down recommend that you choose a self-hosted platform. Now, within self-hosted platforms, there's so many different providers. And the provider that I've chosen to go with is called Bluehost. Honestly, I've had good results with Bluehost. I've used them for a very long time. Even with my previous blog, I was on Bluehost, and I think that it's a great option. It's very, very affordable, and it's a great option for beginners. And I actually have a link in my description box below that you can use if you would like to get an additional discount on the hosting. Another really popular provider is one called SiteGround, and I think a lot of big bloggers use that as well. And so you want to make sure to choose a good hosting provider, because your hosting provider will determine a lot, especially the speed of your website. Because if you choose a poor hosting provider and you have a really slow or unresponsive website, people are not going to want to stick around on your blog. So it's important that you choose a good hosting provider. So now you have your hosting, you have your platform, you have a blog. The next step is the design. And this step is like way down the list because it's actually one of the last things that you do, when you're starting a blog. I know that when I was first starting my blog all those years ago, the design was probably the first thing that I was thinking about. But the design is one of the last things that you think about, because your design is going to be based on everything else that we've just covered. Now with your design, it is important that you choose a design that is reflective of your brand and the message that you are going to be putting across. So with WordPress and with Squarespace as well, what you're going to be doing for your design is using themes. So a theme is basically like a template that you buy, and then you just upload it to your website, and then it looks the way you want it to look. That's definitely one way to go, and that's the way that I went. I bought my theme from creativemarket.com, and there's certainly so many other places that you can get themes. I think my last blog, I got my theme from etsy.com. You can also get themes from a website called Theme Forest. I'll keep the link of everything that I mentioned in the description box below. When you are picking a theme, make sure to pick a theme that's simple and responsive. A responsive theme is a theme that works both on your desktop or laptop and also on your phone, because these days most people are consuming content on their phone. And so if your blog only works or looks a certain way on your laptop, when people are looking at it on the phone, it's going to be messed up, right? And so they're not going to want to stick around. And so you want to make sure that when you are picking themes, you are picking a responsive theme. So take time to go through the themes and look to see what they look like on mobile devices as well. So now once you have your theme, if you're using a platform like WordPress, you want to install your plugins. And so plugins are the thing that give your blog functionality. My next step would be to write your blog posts. And so this is a really important step that I think a lot of people miss before they launch their blogs, because it's important to write blog posts before you launch. And so I would recommend to write about 5 blog posts, that by the time you go live with your blog, you already have content for people to see. And so writing 5 posts is just a really good strategy, because as you're writing those 5 posts, you can also gauge and determine whether or not you enjoy writing. And so this allows you to modify and to change your strategy before you actually go live. And so the last thing that I would say to do before you launch your blog is to set up a lead magnet. And so a lead magnet is something that you give people in exchange for their email addresses. And so it's usually something juicy, something enticing that people would want, that they would be willing to give you their email addresses for. And so I think it's a good idea to come up with a lead magnet before you launch your blog. That way when you launch your blog, you're able to kind of just get things rolling. And so if you don't know, one of the most important things that you can have as a blogger is an email list, because your email list is basically your close-knit community, people who you will talk to on a regular basis, be it once a week or every 2 weeks. It's important to start building your email list early, just so that you can start building that community of people around you. And so now you know all the things that you need to do step by step to launch your blog. If you have any questions regarding your blog or launching or any of the steps that I mentioned, leave a comment and let me know, because I would love to help you further. And so I actually offer one-on-one coaching for people who are bloggers or new bloggers who just need some help and direction with their content strategy. If that is something you'd be interested in, definitely check out my website. The link is in the description box below. Leave a comment and let me know if you found this video helpful. Also, if you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, because I like to know what kind of videos you are enjoying, and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.